Good morning, students. We are going to start chapter number 5 today. Name of the chapter is magnetism, and I will divide this chapter into three parts. First part is magnetic dipole. Second part will be Earth's magnetism, and third part will be magnetic materials. Okay, so I will divide this chapter into three parts: magnetic dipole, study of magnetic dipole, then Earth's magnetism, and third one is magnetic materials, the study of magnetic materials. So today I am starting with this first topic, and I hope we will finish this topic today itself. So not a very big topic. If you know the portion we discussed in electric dipole, if you remember that portion, then this portion is going to be very easy for you. Okay, means most of the things here I will not obtain the expressions, I will not derive the expressions, because the method is just similar to the method we have done in while discussing the electric dipole, while obtaining the expressions for electric dipole. Just what we need to do is just to replace the quantities, the symbols of the quantities. Okay, like electric dipole moment will be replaced by magnetic dipole moment. Okay, and other quantities. Okay, first one is, we will start with artificial bar magnet. Artificial bar magnet and its properties. Right? So first property is attractive property. A bar magnet have a property to attract other magnetic materials. Okay, so it is the first property it is having is attractive property. Okay, the second one is directive property. Directive property means when a bar magnet is suspended freely, it always points in a particular north-south direction, in a fixed north-south direction. So it can be used to direct the direction. It can be used to give the direction. Okay, so it have a directive property, and because of this property, it is also called as lodestone. Also called as lodestone because of having the directive property, that the property by which a magnet, when freely suspended, always points in a fixed particular direction, north-south direction. Okay. Then third is, unlike poles attract and like poles repel. Unlike poles, a bar magnet have two different poles. One is north pole and other is south pole. So unlike poles attract each other, north will attract south, right? But like poles will repel each other. North will repel, south will repel each other. Okay. Fourth is, repulsion is the surest property. Repulsion is surest property to identify magnet, bar magnet. Okay, if suppose you are given a material and they ask you that somebody gives you a material and he asks you that check whether this is a magnet or not. So attractive property is not the surest property, it is actually the repulsive property, because a bar magnet can attract even a piece of iron also, a piece of steel also, but it is not necessary that piece of steel will be having the magnetic property. How can you check? If suppose you take a magnet, suppose a arbitrary piece is given to you, this is unknown piece and this is your magnet, north, south. Now you bring this piece near to it. If it gets attracted, then attractive property cannot determine whether this is a magnet or not, because if it is a simple iron piece, then also it will be attracted. But you bring it first here. Suppose suppose it get attracted to this pole. Now you reverse the magnet and try to bring it close to this magnet. If the other end gets repelled, then this is a bar magnet. If repulsion is not taking place, means attraction is there on both the sides. At both the ends you are just getting the attraction only, then it means that it can be a piece of simple iron or a steel. Okay. So repulsion is the surest property to identify the magnet. Fifth is magnetic poles. Magnetic poles always exist in pair. Exist in pair means you cannot have a north pole alone or a south pole alone. Means isolated north pole and south poles we have not identified till today in the nature. Okay, we always have the poles in pair. If you have a north pole, then you must have a south pole along with it. They always exist in pair. Can never, means till now in nature we have not identified a isolated magnetic pole, isolated north pole or isolated south pole. Okay. Then sixth property is force always obey inverse square law. Okay, the magnetic force can be attractive or can be repulsive. That force is always proportional to R, inversely proportional to R square. R is the suppose you have a magnet and you have another magnet, then you can consider that suppose a magnetic pole, this magnetic pole south and this magnetic pole north, suppose they are separated by a distance R, then the force will be inversely proportional to R square. What it simply means is that the magnetic force exerts up to infinity. Okay, the magnet exerts its force up to infinity, or the magnetic field extends up to infinity, right? So these were the properties of bar magnet, right? Now next is magnetic lines of forces. Magnetic lines of forces. Now what are magnetic lines of forces? Just like your electric lines of forces, these magnetic lines of forces are imaginary lines. Okay, suppose from a magnet, suppose from a north, we have a north polarity somewhere. Suppose we have a magnet like this, okay, south north. Suppose we make free, suppose here we have another south. For the time being, let us suppose that we are considering only this part, right? Now if a north is there, then there should be a south pole also. Now if I somehow make free a unit north pole, one north plus one, or you can say that north pole, if I unit north pole, if I make a unit north pole free to move from here, then that unit north pole will go to the south pole and can follow various trajectories. Okay, all those different paths following which the north pole can reach the south pole are called as the magnetic lines of forces. Okay, just like your electric lines of forces, that when a unit positive charge is made to free, is allowed to somehow made to free, means allowed to move freely in the region, then it will always move towards a negative charge, and the various paths it can follow are called as the electric lines of forces. So similarly, if a north pole, unit north pole is made free to move from here, then it will reach to the south pole and can follow various different paths. These imaginary different paths which the unit north pole can follow to reach the south pole are called as magnetic lines of forces. Once again telling you that just like electric lines of forces, magnetic lines of forces are also imaginary lines. There are no such lines, okay? But however, the picture they present for the magnetic field around a bar magnet is real. The kind of picture they present, right? Now, what is the use of these magnetic lines of forces? The use is, you can have different uses. First one is, the closeness of these lines will tell you the strength of magnetic field at a point. The points where these magnetic lines of forces are very close, the strength of the magnetic field would be very large, will be very strong. The magnetic field would be very strong, and if the gap is large, then the magnetic field will be weaker at those points, right? Second thing is, it helps us to know the direction of the magnetic field also. At any point, suppose you have a straight magnetic line of force, the magnetic line, the direction of magnetic line of force tells you the direction of magnetic field at the point. In case you have straight magnetic line of force. If you have a curve like here, then at any point, the tangent drawn to the magnetic line of force, the curve of magnetic line of force will tell you the direction of the magnetic field, okay? Just like electric lines of forces, they also have a fixed direction. Electric lines of forces were having a fixed direction from positive charge towards the negative charge. Similarly, magnetic lines of forces have a fixed direction from north pole towards the south pole. They always originate at north pole and terminates at the south pole, right? Okay. Let us suppose that we have a bar magnet like this, north, south. Now, if we draw the magnetic field, the magnetic lines of forces for this bar magnet, we will get this type of figure. Like this. They will be moving like this. Okay. So, these here you can see that the magnetic lines of forces are very close to each other, okay, at the poles, at the ends, and here on the equatorial line the gap between the magnetic lines of forces is large, okay. So you can say that these are the points. You can say here you have the points where the magnetic field is maximum. You have the points here at the end of the bar magnet where the strength of the magnetic field is maximum. These points are called as the magnetic poles. These are magnetic poles. So what are magnetic poles? The points where the strength of magnetic field is maximum and the magnetic lines of forces are they have the maximum closeness with each other, okay, as compared to any other point. The points where the maximum closeness is there between the magnetic lines of forces, those points are called as magnetic poles, and at those points the strength of magnetic field is maximum, right? Now these are magnetic poles, also called as magnetic charges. Magnetic charges. So their SI unit is, we denote them by QM. We have, for electric charges we have Q, and for magnetic charges we have a notation QM, and these magnetic charges, their SI unit is ampere meter, okay, ampere meter. Ampere meter. Why ampere meter? Because we know that I equals to Q upon T. Okay, just a minute. Yes, we will define first that what is your magnetic dipole moment that time. So for the time being, you just consider that SI unit of these magnetic charges is ampere meter. Okay. Now, magnetic length. Next term is magnetic length. This distance between the magnetic poles, the distance between the magnetic poles of a bar magnet is called as the magnetic length. Magnetic length. It is just like your length of the electric dipole. Okay, the gap between the two equal and opposite charges was the length of the electric dipole. Here, the gap between the two magnetic poles is called as the magnetic length. Okay, this length, the gap between two ends of the bar magnet. What you have to understand here is that practically these poles are little bit inside the magnet. Means they are not exactly at the edges, they are slightly inside the magnet. Means suppose if you have a magnet, then the magnetic poles will be slightly inside the bar magnet. So this gap is called as magnetic length, and this is called as the length of the bar magnet, or you can say the gap between the edges is called as geographic length. Geographic length of the bar magnet. So we have two different types of lengths. One is geographic length and other is magnetic length. Okay. So this magnetic length, this is the magnetic length, the gap between the magnetic poles, and this is a vector quantity just like your electric, the length of the electric dipole. It is also a vector quantity. Vector quantity, right? And the direction is always from south pole towards the north pole. The direction of the length of the electric dipole was from negative charge towards the positive charge, and I gave you the reason because when you allow an electric dipole to settle down in a stable condition, suppose you have electric field, if you will allow, means where the electric dipole will get that stable equilibrium. So it will be in this condition. Here should be negative charge and here should be the positive charge, because electric field have positive here and negative here. So negative will be attracted at positive. So in order to keep the direction similar, what we take that the direction of electric dipole or the direction of the length of the dipole is from negative to positive. Similarly, if you will place a magnetic dipole inside a magnetic field, it will acquire the stable equilibrium. Suppose you have a magnetic field, so magnetic field means here should be north, here should be south. If you place a magnetic dipole inside a magnetic field, then it will acquire the stable equilibrium in the condition when you have south here and north here. So the direction of this magnetic dipole or the length of the magnetic dipole is from south to north. So the direction of this magnetic length is a vector quantity and its direction is from south pole towards the north pole. Okay, it is denoted by 2L vector, right? In electric dipole we denoted the length by 2A vector. So what is L here? L is the semi-length of the magnetic dipole, half of the length. If this is the center of the magnetic dipole, then this length is L, this length is also L. Okay, so 2L vector, and it is a, yes.
Sir, can you please repeat geographical length?
Geographical length, beta, is the gap between the edges. I told you that magnetic poles practically are slightly inside the magnet. They are not located at the edges. They are not at the edge of the magnet, bar magnet. They are slightly inward, okay, here, inside the magnet. So the gap between these two poles is the magnetic length. And the gap between the two edges, the ends of the magnet, is called as the geographical length. So you can here you can see that the magnetic length is always less than the geographical length. Okay? Yes, clear? Yes? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes.
Fine. Okay, the length, the gap between the edges, the ends of the magnet, and the gap between the poles is magnetic length. The gap between the edges, the ends of the magnet is geographical length. And magnetic length is always less than the geographical length, practically. Next term is magnetic dipole moment. Magnetic dipole moment. This is denoted by m vector. This is similar to your electric dipole moment p vector. What was that? 2aq. Okay, one of the equal charges multiplied with the dipole length, electric dipole length. Similarly here, the magnetic dipole length m vector is equal to 2l vector times qm. What is qm? Qm is the magnetic charge. It can be the north pole or the south pole. So qm into 2l vector is your magnetic dipole moment. Okay, we have one more formula for magnetic dipole moment, that is IA. Okay, I into A. This actually the reason of we have discussed earlier that the reason of generation of magnetic field, why the who creates the magnetic field? It is the electric current. So that's why this is the more important relation. Okay, that magnetic field is created because of the electric current, and dipole moment means if a body will have the dipole moment, magnetic dipole moment, then it can create the magnetic field. But what we said earlier in chapter number 3, in chapter number 4, that current is the source of magnetic field. So it means that dipole moment, if dipole moment is there, if a body is behaving like a magnet, then it must have a dipole moment, magnetic dipole moment, right? Now if magnetic dipole moment is there and if the magnetic field is there, so it means that there should be some current in that body which is flowing through the body. The body must have some current, because magnetic field is the output of is the property of electric current, right? So actual formula, these two both of them are formulas for this dipole moment, I vector cross A vector. Okay, both of them are the formula for magnetic dipole moment, but right now we are discussing this one. Okay, this I vector is the current flowing through the through the loop, and A vector is the area of the loop. Okay. Okay, what will be the SI unit? Here, this is meter, 12 is meter, this is the length, and QM is ampere meter. So the SI unit is ampere meter square. Ampere meter square is the SI unit of magnetic dipole moment. Okay. Okay, few things I will just mention the formula, and you can obtain in a similar way that we have followed in case of electric dipole moment. The similar, just like that derivation, you follow those steps only, just replace few quantities, right? Like suppose first one, the magnetic dipole moment, magnetic field at an axial point. Suppose you have a bar magnet, okay, or simply we can denote it by this way. You have QM, you have another QM. Suppose this is north pole, this is south pole, okay. Then this is the center. Suppose we want to find out the magnetic field at a point on the axial line, right? So you will find out the magnetic field due to this charge and subtract them, and just follow the same procedure that we followed in the case of electric dipole. Okay, then you will get an expression B axial is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi 2md upon d square minus L square whole square. Okay, I am just writing the formula for electric dipole also, so that you can just see that you will get only the same thing. Okay, electric field axial was 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught 2 p x upon this was r square minus x square whole square.
सर दिख नहीं रहा।
बेटा मेरे को एक जस्ट गिव मी अ मिनट, इसमें मैं इंक डाल देता हूँ। Now can you see?
यस सर।
Yes. I think it was a little bit like this in case of electric field due to a electric dipole moment. Okay, it was like this, and the formula was E axial is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught 2 px upon just a second. Let me check the formula. Yes, the formula was 2p r upon r square minus a square whole square. Okay, for an electric dipole, the electric field on the axial point was 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught 2p r upon r square minus a square whole square, and on the equatorial point here, E equatorial was 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, and it was P upon r square plus a square whole raised to 3 by 2. These were your formulas for electric dipole, electric field due to the electric dipole. Now how these formulas will change? Same process you will have to follow, same steps. Only your few quantities will change. Here you will have Qm. This is also Qm. On the axial point, suppose P, this is your center, this is L, okay, and this point is suppose your it is D, okay. Then your formula B axial will be equal to mu naught upon 4 pi. That we already know that in electric field the constant we have 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. In magnetic field we have that constant equal to mu naught upon 4 pi. Same type of formula you will get. 2 p will be replaced by m, r will be replaced by d, upon your r will be replaced by d minus l square whole square. Okay, so we have a replaced by l, r replaced by d, and your p is replaced by m, right? Okay, so you can simply understand that the same formula, same type of formula you are getting here, so it means that the steps to be followed are just similar to that electric dipole. Okay, similarly B equatorial is equal to mu naught upon 4 pi, right? P will be replaced by m, r will be replaced by d square, plus a will be replaced by l square raised to the power 3 by 2. Okay, same steps you follow, the same steps that you followed in case of electric dipole, and you will easily get these formulas because simply the terms are replaced by the So the terms for electric dipole are simply replaced by the terms for the magnetic dipole only. P by M, R by D and A by L. That's all. Okay? Yes. Can you understand what I want to say?
सर डी की जगह आर ले सकते हैं.
Yes, that is your choice, beta. That is, this is a notation only. This is your choice because I am mentioning, because in my notes, when I will provide you the notes, I have used D. Okay, this is your choice. You can take something else also, but you will have to mention that this quantity represents the distance of the point from the center of the dipole. You can take R also. If you take this as R, then this will become R square minus L square. Okay, that is your choice. Okay, in my notes I have mentioned it as D, so that's why I'm just naming it as D. It is your choice. You can name R also.
ओके सर.
Okay, can you understand this, that the process is just similar to that process? Only thing means follow the same steps. Everything is same. Just you will, when you initially in the beginning itself, when you will replace this M by P, P by M and R by D and A by L, you follow the same process, you will get this formula. Okay? Okay, a few more formulas related to magnetic dipole. As I told you earlier that one formula is this, M equals to NIA. N is the number of turns in the loop. Suppose current is flowing through the loop, it can also, a current carrying loop can also generate a magnetic field. So it can behave like a magnet. If it can behave like a magnet, it means it must have a dipole moment. So what is dipole moment of a current carrying loop? It is equal to I into A. And if suppose it have N turns, then it will become NIA. Okay. Then another formula, this was your 1, 2, this is 3, then 4th. What we obtained for electric dipole was torque acting on the electric dipole when it is placed inside a uniform magnetic field. So similarly, if you will place a magnetic dipole inside a uniform magnetic field, it will also experience some torque, and that torque will be equal to, what was torque there? It was P E sine theta, or P vector cross E vector. This was the formula. Similarly, same way you obtain the formula, just the same steps you follow, and what you will get here, P will be replaced by M, E will be replaced by B and sine theta, or M vector cross B vector. Electric dipole moment simply will be replaced by magnetic dipole moment. Electric field will be replaced by the magnetic field, and same process, same steps you follow, you will get the expression for torque also. Okay. Then what else we obtained there was potential energy, expression for potential energy, and it was P E cos theta, or P vector dot E vector, negative sign, because the potential energy is acquired by the electric dipole by moving against the force or against the torque exerted by the magnet, that electric field. Similarly here, if you will rotate the dipole, magnetic dipole inside a magnetic field, it will also acquire some potential energy, and that will be equal to minus P will be replaced by M, E will be replaced by B and cos theta, or minus M vector dot B vector will give you the that potential energy stored in the magnetic dipole. So I am leaving these derivations for you, right? All these derivations I am leaving it for you because nothing new I need to tell you. The same steps you follow, just in the beginning itself you replace the terms P by M, right? D by your R by D, okay, and your A by L and E by B. Just simply you replace these quantities, these terms, and follow the same steps. Right. Okay, we have one last topic in this study of magnetic dipole, and that last topic is dipole moment of an atom. Atom as magnetic dipole. Okay, atom as a magnetic dipole. So we have, what we have is a nucleus at the center inside the atom, and an electron is revolving around the nucleus on a elliptical path or circular path, whatever it is, means it is, the electron is moving around the nucleus. This is our atomic model, right? Now suppose if I consider a point on the path, then what is happening? This electron is crossing the path, that barrier. Suppose if I put suppose if I can take this as reference point, then this electron is again and again crossing that point. So it means that the charge is moving in this circular path, or you can say that the charge is flowing on this circular path. So can you say that a current is flowing through this circular path? Because flow of charges is current. So there is a current here, there is a flow of current in this circular path. Now if the current will be there, then it will generate the magnetic field. So it means that every atom must have a magnetic field also. So that magnetic field, if magnetic field is there, it is the you can say it is the result of the magnetic dipole moment. So it means that simply that an electron revolving on the orbit, electron revolving around the nucleus on its orbit, creates some dipole moment in the atom, and that dipole moment creates the magnetic field. So how much is that dipole moment that we are going to obtain here, the expression for that? And this is important topic in this one. Okay, this expression, obtaining the expression for dipole moment of a atom, right? First of all, what will be the angular momentum of this electron? This electron is revolving around the nucleus. What will be the angular momentum? We have the formula for angular momentum as it is r vector cross p vector. See, angular momentum L vector equals to r vector cross p vector. Okay. Now what is r? R is the radius of the orbit of the electron. So you can write r, and this p vector is p equals to mv. So you can write mv, right? If I take the magnitude only, if I am taking the magnitude, then it will be AB. Now what is the angle? AB sine 90. Why 90? Because this is the angle, this theta is the angle between r vector and p vector. And what is the direction of p vector? It is given by v vector. The direction p vector equals to p equals to mv. M is a scalar quantity. So who gives direction to p vector? It is v vector. What is the direction of v vector at any point? Since if the electron is revolving in this direction, then the velocity will be tangential. At any point, what will be the direction of velocity? It will be tangential. It will be along the tangent to the path. Now what will be the angle between radius and tangent? The radius is always perpendicular to the tangent at the point of contact. So what should be the angle here? It is 90 degrees. So what we have? MVR. L is equal to MVR. Okay. This M is mass of electron, right? So MeVR you can write as expression for L, right? Now what will be the direction of this L vector? Since you are getting this by cross product, so it will be given by the right hand thumb rule. Now since the electron is revolving like this, so if I put my thumb here, so this is the direction of L vector, upward. Okay, right hand thumb rule, you will means you curl your fingers along the direction of the motion of current, and then the thumb will represent the direction of L vector. So this is upward, L vector, the angular momentum's direction is upward, right? Okay, now let us suppose that T is the time period of revolution of electron. Let us suppose that electron takes one complete turn in capital T time period. Okay, so in 1 second, in suppose T time period, it completes one revolution. So in 1 second, T seconds, it makes one revolution. So in 1 second, how many revolutions it will make? 1 upon t revolutions. So per second, how many times it crosses that point, this point? It is 1 upon t times. So what will be the current flowing through it? I. How much you can say is the current flowing through this circular path? It is how many, the number of times the electron crosses a point, it is 1 by t. The number of times it crosses this point, and in suppose you take an example, suppose an electron crosses 2 times this point in 1 second. Okay, so can you say simply an electron is crossing this point in 1 second 2 times? Can you say simply that 2 electrons are crossing the point in 1 second? Because the same electron comes again. So you can simply say that 2 electrons are crossing the point in 1 second. So how much charge is crossing? It is 2 into charge of 1 electron, right? So similarly here, in 1 second, the electron makes this many revolutions. This many times it crosses this point in 1 second. So how much is the total charge passing through this point in 1 second? Total charge, Q equals to charge of 1 electron and number of times it is crossing the this point, right? Now how much will be I? I is equal to Q upon T. Now what T? How much is T? How much T we are taking here? 1 second, because we have already considered that in 1 second it is crossing 1 by T revolution. So if I am taking 1 by T, so how much T I have taken equals to 1. So it means what is my I? I is E into 1 upon T. Okay, this point is important, that how much current is flowing through the circular path. It is E into 1 upon T, right? Okay, now how much will be this T? What is the time period? This that we have taken as time period. How much will be this quantity? How we can find out the time period? Time is distance upon speed. How much is distance traveled in one revolution? 2 pi r. And what is the speed? It is v. So I can replace this here. I is equal to E upon 2 pi r, and v will reach in the numerator. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, one thing we will mark here, that negative sign, because the charge of the electron is negative, so we can put a minus sign here. Okay, so I equals to minus EV upon 2 pi r. Okay, so how much will be your M now? What is your M? We know that the dipole moment is equal to I into A. Okay, so it will be how much? Minus EV upon 2 pi r into A is pi r square. What is the area of this loop? It is pi r square. Okay, so pi will cancel, r square will cancel, and you get minus EV r upon 2. Minus EV r upon 2. Okay, take this as second. Now you have L equals to this much, MEVR, and M is equal to this much. So you have two expressions. Now 1 divided by 2. Dividing 1 by 2, what we will get? L upon M is equal to MEVR upon, you have minus EVR upon 2. This VR will cancel and you get minus 2 ME upon E. Minus 2. Yes. So how much will be your M? What will be M? M will be equal to, yes, simply you take this M to that side and bring these quantities here. So it will be minus 1 by 2, this 2 will divide, E upon ME into L, minus half E upon me into L, right? So dipole moment is equal to minus half E upon me. What is E? Charge of the electron. Me is the mass of the electron, charge to mass ratio. This is nothing but the charge to mass ratio. So this is a constant, and into L. Now what this minus sign indicates here? It simply indicates that m vector is opposite in direction to L vector, because in the vector notation you can write like this. This is a constant, scalar constant. So m vector direction will be given by L vector, but this negative sign indicates in vector notation that the direction of m vector is opposite to L vector. So here if L vector is upward, then what is the direction of m vector? It is downward. Okay. So what you have to, how you will find out the direction of m vector, the dipole moment in case of electron revolving on the circular path? You take your right hand thumb rule, curl your fingers according to the direction of motion of the electron. The direction of thumb will represent the direction of L. Upward, m will be opposite to L. So it will be downward. Okay? Alright. Now, we can slightly improve this formula. Okay, we have a Bohr's model of atom that we will study in the chapter named as atoms, and I think it is chapter number 12, right? In chapter number 12 you will study a model which is named as Bohr's model of atom. Now in that Bohr's model there we have few postulates. Bohr have few postulates, and one of the postulate is that angular momentum is an integral multiple of a constant which is h upon 2 pi. The angular momentum is an integral multiple of h upon 2 pi, means n is an integer, and this h is Planck's constant. Planck's constant. The angular momentum of a electron revolving in a particular orbit have the value given by integral multiple of a constant term. Constant term is h upon 2 pi, where h is Planck's constant, right? So it means that you can replace this here. M is equal to minus E upon 2 me, right, into nh upon 2 pi. Okay? M is equal to, we can remove the negative sign here because negative sign only indicates that the direction is opposite. So now you can leave this negative sign. You have this value. M is equal to E upon 2me nh upon 2 pi. This is the expression for the magnetic dipole moment. Now E upon me is a constant, h upon 2 pi is a constant. So where this m depends upon? It depends on the n. N is the integer. It is related to your principal quantum number, that in which particular orbit the electron is revolving, right? Now for hydrogen atom, n will be equal to 1, and this m will be equal to E upon 2me h upon 2 pi, which will be the minimum value, which will be the minimum value, and this is called as Bohr's magneton. Bohr's magneton. Okay, Bohr's magneton is the dipole moment, is the magnetic dipole moment for hydrogen atom. So this will be in that for hydrogen atom there is only one shell, that is the first shell. So n equals to 1. You will put n equals to 1, and that will be the minimum value of dipole moment for any atom. Okay, so this is called as, this atom with minimum dipole moment is called as Bohr's magneton, which is nothing but your hydrogen atom only. Okay. Now one more thing which is whose derivation is not included in our syllabus, that electrons are, we know that electrons are moving around the nucleus on a circular path. At the same time they are revolving, they are rotating on their axis also, they have a spin also in them. So due to that spin also they have some dipole moment. And how much is that? that dipole moment is the dipole moment due to the spin, I can take this as m dash, is given by minus E upon me into s vector. Okay, the magnetic dipole moment due to the spin of the electron. This is not, the derivation is not included in our syllabus. Once again I am telling you, simply you will have to obtain this, you can remember this formula. The dipole moment due to the spin is equal to minus E upon me, there it was 2, now 2 is not here, into s vector. What is s? S is the spin quantum number. Okay, it is a value that yes, not spin quantum number, this is angular momentum due to spin. Angular momentum due to spin. Sorry, mistakenly I said that it is spin quantum number, not like that. This is your angular momentum due to the spin of electrons. Okay, so what we were having the formula earlier, it was minus E upon 2me into L vector. This was our earlier formula due to the revolution of the electron. This is due to the spin of the electron. Okay, so what will be the total dipole moment? How much is the total dipole moment? M total is equal to M plus M dash, the dipole moment due to both of them. So it is nothing but, when you add them, minus E upon 2me L vector plus minus E upon me into S vector. Okay, so you can take now this as M total is equal to, you can take minus E upon 2me common. If I take this minus E upon 2me, if I take this common, then I will have to multiply here by 2, because there is no 2 in the denominator. So it will be L vector plus 2 times S vector. This is your total dipole moment of the electron moving in a atom, right? E upon 2me. E upon me is charge to mass ratio of the electron. So minus E upon 2me, angular momentum due to the revolution of the electron, plus 2 times angular momentum due to the spin of the electron. Okay, this was all about your magnetic